So the day has come. Disney Plus is now brought into our lives, and of course with that, everything that Disney has to offer that they're pushing out onto the service, we get to take into our lives and hug on it like a warm blanket when we were a kid. But of course with that Disney Plus, we get The Mandalorian. So I'm going to be bringing you some Mandalorian reviews. This one's a little bit late, but hopefully we'll be able to catch up and get up to the series. As of today of recording, the new one has been released, so episode 2 is out, so that'll be coming up later, so you can check back to see that. But Disney Plus dropped with the first episode of The Mandalorian, so we got to check that out already, and we've watched it twice so far just to be able to do this review and make sure I don't miss anything. And I have to say, I think the show's absolutely amazing. It's everything I want. Of course, I love almost every Star Wars. There's not been like a movie or anything that I haven't enjoyed, so it's not that hard to please me. But this show just hit everything that I love and everything about Star Wars. So we're going to just do a review, kind of run down what's going on, maybe kind of explain some of the stuff that happened in the episode and stuff in case you were wondering about. But let's go ahead and get into it. So it opens up with the Mandalorian on some planet. Of course, we don't see any planet names or anything, and they're never really even mentioned, so we don't know what's going on for sure. But Mandalorian's arrived at a planet, and he's holding up his little tracker thing. We see that throughout the episode multiple times. And so he's on his first bounty that we're actually seeing. He arrives at some bar on this planet stuff. It's like in the middle of nowhere. And we find out his bounty is this guy Mithril, which is this blue guy, which I was kind of uncomfortable with because it's a blue alien type guy, but he sounds like a normal human. I like when aliens that look like aliens have weird alien voices, and we saw that spread throughout, going all the way back to past stuff. If they're not humanoid, to me, they shouldn't have a human voice. But anyways, the blue guy's getting beat up and roughed up by a couple guys, so Mandalorian comes in. Of course, they start having issues with the Mandalorian, saying him spill his drink and stuff. So a fight breaks out, and of course, Mandalorian takes care of all of them, and we see the part in the trailer, especially the cool scene, where there's a Quarren that's like running away out the door, and the Mandalorian shoots his wire out of his wrist, grabs on the guy, pulls it back, shoots the door, and then the door closes in on him, so he gets all Darth Mauled, so that was super cool to see. So Mando reveals to Mithril that he's there to collect him as a bounty, so of course it's acting all funny situation. So Mando ties him up, takes him out. They go to get in a little speeder thing to take him to a ship, and of course first little speeder pulls up. They all kind of look like Luke's speeder, so that's kind of cool, classic looking there. First one has a droid. Mando says no droid, so we still got a droid bias going on. You know, separatists have been dead for all these years, but yet there's still a droid bias. So another ship that comes along, and it's driven by Brian Posehn, which of course is a famed comedian stuff that has especially went on rants about hating Star Wars and how bad the prequels especially were. But of course over the more recent years he's kind of changed his tune about that, and now it fits that he's in a Star Wars series, so he's probably super happy and excited about it. So he picks him up, takes him off to the ship, and we get to see the Mandalorian ship, which is a big looking ship. It's nothing really special. I definitely think Boba Fett's is much better looking ship, but it's pretty cool. So he drops him off and he warns him about, don't stay on the ice too long, you will get killed by something. And then he goes driving off, and then of course off in the distance we see somebody break through the ice and take the ship, and so that was kind of fun to see. So that creature then starts coming for the Mandalorian and our bounty, and it starts attacking the ship, and to me it kind of looked like a alligator mixed with a walrus. Like if they had come together, made a baby, that would be this thing, but it's called a mythosaurus, so it's kind of weird. It has a close to name to the blue guy, but apparently it's a Mandalorian based creature. But yeah, it's a big thing, attaches onto the ship, and of course we get the Mandalorian into action with his big gun with the prong on stuff, the like double-ended prong like from the Star Wars holiday special. He goes out, shocks the thing, it lets go, and they take off. So we're flying off to the next place, and Mando allows Mithril to kind of walk around the ship. So he's wandering around talking about wanting to be home for Life Day and everything, and he stumbles across a bunch of bounties that have been frozen in carbonite, just like Han Solo, look exactly like we see a Rodan looking like Greedo and stuff in there, so multiple bounties. So Mithril realizes what's going on, and then Mando's right behind him, throws him into a little carbonized chamber thing and freezes him, and has captured his bounty. So we arrive at the next planet where Mando meets up with Greef Karga, which was played by Carl Weathers, which is the guy that pays him for the bounty. So he tries to pay Mando in some Imperial coins, but Mando makes the comment that the Empire is dead, so we do get confirmation, of course, that we already knew, but if you weren't for sure, we get confirmation that this is right after Return of the Jedi, so the Empire has just been defeated. And Mando tries to pick up some more bounties, you know, to make some more money, but Greef Karga mentions that there's not that many bounties, and he has to, you know, spread it around to all the other bounty hunters. So he ends up giving him this super secret, like ultimate secret mission and stuff that we find out the exciting into that. So the secret mission sends Mando off to meet Werner Herzog, which was considered the client, and he finds him in like this secret hiding place, and he's got some stormtroopers around, so he has some sort of connection to the Empire, at least some defective stormtroopers or something he's harboring, not really sure what's going on there. But he passes on this super secret mission, gives him what details he has and stuff. Of course we don't really hear about it, but he says he has very few details and gives those to Mando, and for part of his payment he gives it this, what I called a platinum card at first because I had no clue what it was, but it was just like a silver bar that had an Empire logo stamped onto it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But it turns out that's a Beasark, which is an ancient Mandalorian metal like iron, and they use that to make their armor, and it's very much like vibranium from the Marvel universe. It's a very heavy duty metal that can deflect a lot of shots and stuff, so it's a precious Mandalorian armor. So Mando takes that, he's getting ready to set off onto his mission, he's kind of wandering around this town, and we get to see some cool little scenes of like salacious crumbs being roasted on a spit and stuff, and I thought that kind of thing was cool. But he ends up going to what I'd call like a Mandalorian secret hideout. It was kind of find like a hidden underground base, and there was a lot of Mandalorian type people hanging around in there, and he meets the armor. He gets that Beastlark to the armor is what they call her, which is a Mandalorian, and she has kind of like horns on top of her head, so that was pretty cool looking. But then she takes the metal, melts it down, and makes it into an armor piece that goes on his right shoulder, and so he gets a replacement and a piece of Mandalorian armor to go onto his shoulder. So then we see Mando arrive on this planet to do the secret mission. So Mando starts wandering around, and he gets attacked by some blurgs, and so he's fighting with these lizard things. We saw them in the Clone Wars with the Twi'lek episode, and they start attacking him, and we see him shoot his wrist flamethrower off that when they're biting on his arm and stuff. So again, we're seeing classic Boba Fett type weapons. But we see him get saved from the blurgs by what I'm going to call Quill, which is the Ugnaught voiced by Nick Nolte, and so he comes in and saves the day. So he helps out the Mandalorian, and he ends up giving him a blurg to ride, but they have to tame it first, and that's Quill's only payment he wants for helping Mando. So he does this whole taming of the blurgs and stuff, and then they ride off, and Quill shows him where he believes this secret place is. So we come across a little town, and so Mando's scouting out the town, and we see it's full of red Niktos, but he realizes something's going on, and we see IG-11 come strolling in, and of course voiced by Taika Waititi. So Mando goes down and teams up with IG-11, and they start having a shootout with the Niktos and stuff, and of course the Niktos are, since there's so many of them, are pinning them down behind walls and everything, and they eventually bring in a giant gun that's kind of like blasting the wall they're hiding behind. And of course, fun little scene as IG-11 starts to do a self-destruct. He keeps trying to do a little bomb, comes out of his chest, and Mando's like, no, don't do it. So they devise a plan where IG goes running out to distract the gun, and he gets shot up a bit, but Mando shoots out his rope, grabs onto the gun and pulls it, and ends up spinning it around, starts shooting a bunch of the red Niktos. He runs, jumps on it, and ends up killing them all, and so they clear out the town. So it's just IG-11 and Mando left. So they end up finding a door where the secret item is hidden. They go inside, and at this point you can really see that IG-11 is like a puppet or some sort of animatronic, because his legs are like walking all weird. So that was kind of fun to see, you know, using a lot of practical effects is what they're trying to do, which of course is classic Star Wars and looks really good. But they end up finding this little white capsule, and of course this is the coolest thing ever. This is the secret mission. They go, Mando presses the button, the capsule opens, and inside we see a baby Yoda, and it was so freaking cool. It looked like Gizmo from Gremlins, but just all green, and of course looking like Yoda, but just so little tiny and cute. And of course I absolutely love Yoda. He's my absolute favorite character, and of course seeing a little baby version just made my heart melt, and I just loved it so much. But the funny thing is we find out that the baby is actually 50 years old, but since Yoda lived to like over 900 years old, they age much slowly, so at 50 years old he still looks like a little baby. But of course his whole mission is to destroy the secret object, so IG's here to kill it, and that's what he's getting ready to do. And then all of a sudden we hear a flash, and then he falls to the ground, and Mando shot IG-11 and killed him, I guess. And the episode ended with him just standing there staring at the baby Yoda. It even puts his finger out like over Yoda, and we see like the Yoda little finger coming out, and they're almost doing like the Spider-Man meme. And that's how our episode ended. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to see this next episode, which again at this point is out, so I'm super excited to watch it. But overall, once again, this episode I thought was incredible. I loved all the visuals, all the sound effects, everything I thought was good. Some of the CGI is a little iffy, but I assume for the budget I wasn't expecting anything great. But what I did see was surprising enough, so that's good. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like was the blue guy having the human voice. I wish he had some sort of alien voice or something, but that's like my only little nitpick, and as far as I know, he's gone now. So I want to know what your thoughts on the episode were. Let me know if you enjoyed it, if you hated it, just whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments. Do you even have Disney Plus, and have you watched the episode yet? But those were my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments. Don't forget to come back in a few days, and I will have episode 2 up, and then this will start being a weekly thing, so you can come back every week. So don't forget to subscribe to never miss a review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.